Hey everyone, I hope you're having a beautiful Thursday. We're back to do another amazing twin flame tea. We're going to get into the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies for the week. I'm just waiting for Pearl to join us. Hello, everyone who is joining us here. I am so excited to see what is in store this week. Particularly because, as many of you may know, if you've been following me on my daily lives, there was a lot of drama llama going on last week as it relates to the divine masculine energy and the divine feminine as well. I will point that out too. But I'm very curious to see what happened with it. Good morning. Hello, everyone joining. One of the things that's really, really intriguing, and this is kind of one of the hot takes that I wanted to bring up with Pearl when she comes and joins, is the fact that in one of my lives, I actually had this amazing question that was asked. And that was somebody reached out when we were talking about it. So, long story short, we were having a conversation.
Here.
Oh, there she is.
Hello, beautiful lady.
How are you?
I'm good. I took a few days off that were much needed, even though I felt guilty every day because I wasn't working.
You got to do it, man. Sometimes
It's like, how do you can't justify when you need money so bad, and you're like, I can't even make money in the state that I'm in, so I just need a break. That's what I did.
I totally get
But
it.
I'm back and I'm recharged, and I've got some new perspective, and I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been it's the week is like flying by. Um, but before we even get started, there was something. Oh, and I wanted to show you my shirt because I thought you'd appreciate my new shirt.
Oh my god,
Is it not like everything? I can never. I've like put back. I got this shirt from
yay!
this
No
new show.
one ever knows that movie.
I know it's like I love that movie, and this is like
What's in Legend, right? Is that what called Legend?
yeah, it's one of my
Yes.
like this and Jareth when I was
Is
a
it
child.
baby Tom Cruise in that?
Yeah, baby Tom Cruise is in it.
Oh my
It's
god,
so
I'm flashing
nobody
back.
knows that movie. It's a weird movie.
Nobody. My mom and I used to like it when I was a kid.
Ridley Scott directed it.
No
I want you to
shit.
swear to God. I just realized that recently. I was like, because I went to rewatch it recently, and I was like, Ridley Scott? What?
I didn't know that.
Are? Totally like tanked at the box office.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this and Jareth were like my comfort characters as a
I think it was too whimsical. It might do better now.
it's a weird movie. It's
Yeah.
it's I've got notes. I've got notes. It's like, it's
We should
slow.
do a screening. We should do a senior
We
screening and then talk
we
about it.
now that I think we need to start investigating because I'm a little child that doesn't know how anything works. Um I just got a Twitch and I don't know what to do with it. I keep asking people in my lives, I'm like, what is Twitch? How do I use Twitch? But I think that one of the things with Twitch, because I feel like people use it a lot to like stream gaming. So like
Yeah,
maybe we can stream a movie
yeah,
on Twitch.
yeah. I've done I've used Scener too, just for but for like private groups or whatever. But I don't know.
Mm,
Interesting.
yeah. But again, I think it says a lot about my childhood and like how this arrived in the fact that like Jareth and this guy were like darkness were my favorite comfort characters. These are my voices.
I was all into the unicorns that were in.
I know. And one of them gets like like pretty early on. Like sorry for the spoilers, guys.
Yeah.
We need to talk, Pearl, before we get started. Hello, everyone joining. I'm seeing a lot of people saying hi on my end. So we need to talk about last week's divine masculine reading because I have a little extra tea that we need to talk about before we go into the reading this week. Okay.
Okay.
And I literally it happened. I'm actually going to try to cut a piece of it out and put it on my TikTok so people could see it because I was shook when
Okay.
it happened. So I've been going live in the mornings, and I've been doing collectives. But what happened was, as always, whenever I go live, I feel like the conversation I start having with my audience often diverts to different avenues that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And one, obviously I think yesterday I was bringing up the fact that, the divine masculine reading was so wacky last week, and how like I didn't like the vibe. The vibe felt not, it was the first time I've ever read for masculine. And I was like, I felt like creeped out by the vibe, right? Because the vibe we really saw was like, one, give everyone like who wasn't, watching in a nutshell. And you can go to my YouTube, it's up there. But the vibe was one where masculine was knew that feminine was kind of suffering, and they were kind of leaving feminine hanging intentionally, and just like going about their daily business. And if you remember, what we saw was when we went into the heart space, it said that he was enjoying, again, and bearing in mind, guys, that this is not based on gender, but based on the collective energy. But what we saw, yeah, this will also be on YouTube here. I will post it there. What we saw was the fact that masculine was enjoying watching feminine kind of hang on the hook, because he felt in some way it showed that she cared about him, and that everything was this kind of bid for control, because he felt like she was out of control and he was trying to control her, and that he was very, very triggered, right? Whatever was happening was actually like opening up this deep childhood wound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, it was actually a masculine energy who asked in the comments, asked me, well, what triggered masculine? And I was like, that's a really good question. So it was crazy, because I went to pull the cards, and as soon as I went to like pull 3 cards, and immediately, like, boom, 5 cards came out like all at once. And I was like, whoa, a lot, a lot.
Yeah.
This was the vibe. The vibe was, what came out was really clear. It said, the message that came through was that masculine energy has a wound from childhood and a fear of abandonment.
Yeah.
And then someone said, because somebody said, what did feminine do to cause it? Right? That's what they wanted to know. They said, what is the wound, and what did feminine do to cause it? So masculine has this profound wound from childhood around abandonment. And what did feminine do to trigger it? Feminine was putting on a bit of a show that she had options, that she was potentially looking at those other options. And that is what triggered the wound that caused masculine to get in this like headspace.
It's probably also that a lot of feminines, because I know a lot of feminines that don't have any options and aren't displaying that. So it could have just been the
Yeah.
walking away thing.
It,
Like,
it,
just, yeah, like that in and of itself. Like, just being like, okay, I'm not going to engage with you in this way. And he took the disengagement
yes,
as
exactly.
abandonment. Because I do know a ton of
Yeah,
feminines that, like, aren't showing that they have options or don't feel that they
yeah.
do. I know that he might think that, but I think the disengagement is a huge part of the abandonment wound,
No,
because
totally.
that's what triggers abandonment in me. So, and I'm like masculine and feminine energy, like my person disengaging causes the most pain.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like this feedback loop.
that makes perfect sense. And that was pretty much it. Like the card that came up, if I remember correctly, it was like the card that came up around feminine was like the 3 of Wands, right? Like looking out beyond, like turning their back on masculine and looking out at like the world ahead of them, right? And that's what caused that was what caused the triggering point.
Oh yeah, like options for like a new life or a different life or a better life. That makes sense. Yes,
Exactly.
yes. I
Yes.
feel that. Yeah.
Um, and what was even more interesting was then someone said, well, what can feminine do to help him heal this? And I was like, well, and it was really crazy, because then I drew for feminine, and feminine cards were very specific, which said feminine. This was really cool. So the cards that came up when it said, what did feminine need to do to help masculine heal this? 3 cards, so immediate to see. 6 of Cups with, what was it? Hold on, I'm just trying to remember. There was a 6 of Cups along with a was it the Empress? It might have been the Empress with the King of Swords. I'm not sure about the middle card, but the middle card was standing for unconditional love. No, it was the Ace of Cups, I think. So what we saw was the fact that masculine, the way feminine could potentially heal this would be to give like unconditional love to the masculine's child, like inner child, while also allowing him to kind of stand in his power in his King of Swords. And I was like, wow, that's one heck of a message. And then we got in a big fight because then a lot of people, it was really funny because then the whole comment started blowing up with people saying like, I don't want to give him unconditional love. He's been a jerk.
Yeah, I just posted today, right before this, I posted a message specifically for those of you in the collective, and there's probably not a lot of you here, honestly, but those of you in the collective who have to comment, you just have to comment, I don't want him back. So I made a specific post today for y'all people who do that, because I'm always curious as a reader, girl, if you don't want this person back, why are you not scrolling past this message? Why are you taking the time to, because this indicates that you are triggered in some way, and that there is some belief that my reading is triggering in you, and that is where you need to do the work. And if we can look at readings not as our, like, you know, the carrot dangled that something is going to happen, and instead the point within self where we figure out what we need to work on, I feel like the stagnation and separation issue would go away a lot quicker, because I feel like everybody wants a magic button. They want to hear me tell them that their person is going to come back, or, you know, if they're having issues with the person who they're focused on and I tell them that, they get triggered. It's because it's interesting you should say what should the divine feminine do, because I want to contextualize that, because what you're really saying is that person that we're thinking about in their masculine energy, what we should really be asking is, what do they need to do to heal themselves? Because there's nothing we don't need to do shit. Like, you as an individual just need to heal yourself. That person, their divine feminine energy, which is their emotion, their creativity, and their receptivity, that part of themselves must give themselves unconditional love. They have to give themselves unconditional love, right? That's there. It's not on us to do. Like, we already have unconditional love, or we wouldn't keep thinking about them. That's already been, and that person has to believe. The reason that person doesn't believe that your love is unconditional is because they don't have unconditional love for themselves.
Well, and I also had to point out, that was the funny thing that happened, and you could see it happening. Like, some people were catching on to it in the comments, and some people weren't. Thank you guys so much for comments about this now and giving the likes and the shares. One of the things out, and I kept stressing this. I'm like, listen, I am not saying that this is the prescription that you should follow. I am answering. Somebody asked a question, and this is the answer to that question.
Yes.
I kept saying, I'm like, I am not telling you, because I was like, I am not telling you right now if, like, you are like really, really upset at your masculine energy and you feel like this person deserves unconditional love, then you should do it. Also, unconditional love is a big damn thing to give someone. I'm like, that is not something that you give to anyone. It usually requires an exchange of some sort. So I'm like, please, I kept saying to them, I'm like, I need to stress this. Someone asked what feminine could do to, this is what masculine would need for you if you wanted to help them with this. You have to use your own, like, discriminatory decision making choices to decide if that is actually something that you are willing or capable or even desire to do. So
yes, that's true.
That said, I'm very interested in seeing what we're going today. So I'm totally happy doing that again if you want to do.
Okay,
it's up to you.
Hang on one second. I have to assist Bowie for 1 second. I'll be right back. Go ahead. Go. There you go.
Pulls away. I do see someone who I can relate to masculine a little bit. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, guys, and I always will stress this. When me and Pearl do these readings, the masculine and feminine energy is in all of us. Like, this is not something that is completely separated. And that's why we like to stress that this is not based on it. energies around you, because all of us have the masculine and feminine energies within us. Some of us are just obviously more aligned to one than the other. There's usually, it's like a cocktail inside of us. So it's very, and again, energies reflect and are affected by each other. So it's very common to see when one's doing this, the other one reacts, and you will may well. That's why we always encourage you to watch both sides. That's why we do it this way, because both sides will effectively relate to you in some fashion, even if you are separate, even if you're your own, even if you're watching this just for your own self, as opposed to like a particular person who is matching that energy around you now.
Yes,
So.
and if you don't listen to feminine energy messages, then you don't understand your whole person. You
Mm-hmm.
only understand half of them. So if
Yep.
you're like, I don't understand why my person does this, that, and the other thing, it's because you're not accounting for their feminine energy. For when we talk about the wounds the feminine has, those are your person's wounds too, if they are reflecting your energy back to you. Obviously, not everybody reflects exactly back to you, because you don't have like a bunch of people that you feel this strong like reflective energy with. In truth, every interaction reflects your energy where you are, but to have an individual that feels so familiar, like that you have this understanding of who they are, feels like you've known them forever, that is a situation where they are a very, very, very good clear mirror for you, which means all the shitty things they're doing, you have to assess, where inside of me am I doing this to myself? Because I'm only attracting this energy to show me how I can be better to self. Like that's ultimately the goal in the journey, is loving self, loving self, loving self. And until you can really do that, and it fucking takes a long time. It takes a long goddamn time. But until you're really masterful with that, you're usually not good at establishing boundaries. There's issues with like feeling needy or clingy. Like you're going to have those issues until you feel the self-love, which results in secured attachment. And that's the other thing that I'm realizing too, is that the dynamic that's here is not indicating that, you like this person is somehow fucked up. It's indicating that you personally have issues with feeling secure attachment. And that is coming from your trauma, and you have to fix it. And you have to act like someone who is secure. If you're anxious and avoidant, you will keep having that happen. So it really is about your dynamic personally. When you feel secure attachment, people who don't have that, they're not attractive anymore. They're really not attractive. You're like, oh, my 10 years ago, I would have been all up in this right here. This mess would have been my little mess, my little homework project, as you like to call it. I can't wait to roll up my sleeves and do this homework for this person. And after you step into secure attachment, you're like, oh, no, no,
Yeah.
no.
You're like,
No,
oh,
no.
you would have life 5 years ago.
Yeah, no. You're like, I have too many things going for me to spend any energy on this project.
But very hello everyone who is joining us. I'm getting a lot of hellos in the comments as well. So um well, speaking of the project, why don't we get down to it? Let's find out what's going on with the energies. All right, so I'm going to start. We're going to start. So the way we're going to do this, guys, we're going to do the headspace, we're going to do the heart space, and then we're going to do advice. So we're going to start right now and we're going to go back and forth. So we're going to start right now. I'm going to do the masculine headspace. So what is going on with masculine? Whoa, headspace. Okay. All these three came out all together. I am going to interpret this. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So all three just immediately came out. That was it, like very fast. I am digging this energy. Something is
ready
changed.
to get right to the point.
Something has changed, and I'm okay with that. That's changed. So the first thing we're seeing right now around the masculine energy is the page of swords. Now this is really intriguing because I think we did see this a few weeks ago in the feminine side. So we're seeing that reflection point here. Masculine is coming back around on something. They're trying a new approach with the feminine. And this new approach is it's brand new. It is brand new energy. It's almost like they've come out of whatever like dark little place they were in last week. They've managed to move out of it. And I actually see why here, which is really beautiful. And it's almost like what I like a lot about this is the Page of Swords energy that we see around here sees masculine kind of, it feels like almost like starting over. There's a lot of starting over energy here. And the reason that masculine is starting over is, and he's doing this, is because in a way he's also he's seeing feminine in a different way now. And that is what's allowing him this new start. Because he feels right now that feminine is also, and this is where they're reflecting each other, and it's beautiful. What he's doing this right now because he sees feminine doing it. It's almost like feminine, like last week we saw him watching feminine basically like suffering, right? Feminine's not suffering anymore. Feminine is actually now coming towards masculine in this new energetic like meeting point. So this is where we find the feminine and the masculine energy right now. They're both kind of reapproaching each other. And for some people, this may actually be brand new energy. This might be a whole new manifestation, a whole new connection that is starting. For others, if this could be an old situation, I'm getting a lot of indications here for a lot of people. This is going to be an old indication, and I'll show you why in a minute. This can be an old connection that is getting new life and that is allowing both sides, masculine and feminine, to have this new approach. What is causing this new approach in the masculines, you wonder, right?
Yeah.
Actually, the same card that was in the heart space last week for masculine, but in a different way. Last week, we saw the Hierophant reversed, right? Around a lot of some of the advice coming up for masculine. That was actually the card, I believe. No, it was actually the card that came up in the heart space for masculine last week, the Hierophant reversed. One thing he was being mad about with his connection with feminine is he felt like feminine wasn't listening to him, right? And that he wanted to call the shots. And what's really fascinating about this is last week, that was something that was hurting him. This week, it's something he's embodying in his headspace. So it's almost like, and what I like here, when we see something move from the heart space to the head space, what that says to me is someone has processed something. Mm-hmm. Somebody has been able to process something that they were feeling and actually move forward into something that they can actually do with it. And what basically has happened here with masculine is and again, we also have to keep in mind that here the Hierophant often results in unconventionality, new approaches, right? And that's what we saw was bothering masculine so much last week around feminine, being like, she's not doing the things I want her to. She's doing things in all this weird, crazy way. She's not listening to me about the way we should be doing things. This is the way it should be done. Except now he's come around. He's starting to come around to what feminine was trying to show him. This is why they're able to match now with this energy. This is what I mean. He's like, you know what? He's not going to, I don't think he's going to tell feminine this. Like the Hierophant reverse is never going to tell feminine, you might have had a point. But this is a masculine that's been doing some work on this. And he's like, you know, it's almost like that masculine's going, why do I care so much about this? Like, why am I making such a big deal about doing it this way? Maybe this feminine's got a point here. Maybe she's on to something that I'm not picking up on. So you know what? Masculine's rolling with this, and I love this. I love seeing this energy with masculine right now. Because masculine's like, I think now he's starting to see it for what it is, which is like, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. This might be an opportunity, and an opportunity means a new start. Why is all of this happening? Why is masculine coming around like this so quickly, having such a change of heart so fast? This is like almost completely different energy from last week. Last week in the Headspace, we saw masculine putting on a front, and now he's not. He's got his attention back on feminine. It's because masculine has decided in his head he does not want to walk away from this. He does not want to walk away from this manifestation of feminine. And what's really nice about this, what I love seeing here, is I think masculine had this moment. This means that for a minute, I think he considered it, and he has just decided against it. Again, one of the big channeled messages that's been coming through for me all week when I've been doing any messages around masculine or feminine has been the words, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. And
that's true on many levels, dude. You haven't gone anywhere in 14 fucking years for me. So I guess that must be a true message.
But I mean, and this is
I feel you. I'm just fucking with you.
No, I totally get it. And I mean, but that's the thing. And this is kind of but here's the thing. I think what we really saw like last week around masculine is I think things hit I want to say things hit rock bottom. Like whatever happened, there was some real rock bottom energy happening, at least for the masculine. And I think that it was almost I almost want to say dark night of the soul kind of energy happening in what we were seeing. Like the fact that I was so around it. And this was what came out of it, which is I'm not ready to walk away from feminine. I don't really want to do that. I know I was acting like I did last week, but it's almost like watching how far it got between masculine and feminine being so far apart just reminded masculine, and I think also potentially feminine, because we do see someone here with him. But again, even with that one, I think he also recognizes that feminine also doesn't want to go anywhere. Whatever he did last week also gave him evidence, because again, I mentioned the abandonment wound, that feminine is not going anywhere either. I like that. That's what we got. That's what we got right now for the Headspace. What do we have? I'm getting a lot of confirmations in the comments. Like Colin said, anywhere but his new girlfriend. Oh no. Oh no. But all right, what do we have going on right now for
the feminine?
Mm-hmm.
Divine feminine. We are starting off in my past placement, so this is what you've been working on. This is the Two of Pentacles. So when we get twos, we know that we have to make a decision or a change. And that's pretty much where the feminine energy has been. She knows that the reason why there has been stagnation is because there has been no decision or change made. And she knows it's on her part. She's allowed the masculine energy to juggle her and all of his priorities. And she's just kind of sat there in that holding pattern with him. She's kind of hoping that at some point he was going to make a decision or a choice. But there has been a lot of reflection for the feminine that it's really up to her to make some kind of a change. She can't rely on an external energy to do it. She has to change her energy. And I think that is going back into that idea that it's not the person that changes, it's you. And then the person either shifts, pivots, and meets you where you're at, or falls aside, and the person that does match you steps up into your orbit. So there's been something about changing mind, changing the way she looks at the situation, changing the way she's thinking about something. And my mind is going back to the reading that I did yesterday about how the word codependency has been misused, misunderstood. And someone in the comments gave me the word I'm seeking, which is interdependency, where you do need connection. You do need to be in a relationship. And changing that idea that you don't need anybody, that has really been a block for the divine feminine, because in truth, we need community. One of the reasons why we're doing so poorly is because we have a false sense of community in our hand right now. You're holding this phone, you're sitting here with us. And yes, we do have a collective, but you are not actually in physical connection with us. In truth, we are all in separation from each other right now, imagining that we are together, and it's a false sense of connection that we get, and we need real connection. We need real physical connection. So there's been a change in mindset, working on how we're thinking about relationships, codependency, interdependency, etc. In the current energy, we have the Star in reverse, the Four of Swords, and the Empress. So Divine Feminine has desperately been hoping that this period of no communication, silence, pause, rest, whatever, is helping her to be in her Empress energy. She's hoping that this isn't just a situation where she's been on pause, on hold for years, and when she leaves this state of waiting, that she's not made any progress. She's really hoping that it's for a reason, that she's become her full self. This is also, for me, realizing that there is this need, like the things that she's wishing for. Ooh, I just heard like put aside childish things.
Mm.
So there is like this hoping that she's healed some of those ideas that were truly childish about, how we attract the energy we want, who we want to be with, all of those kinds of things. Like, and I think also healing issues having to do specifically with mother wounds, which is always coming up for both masculine and feminine. Needing more nurturing, needing more care, and maybe just kind of pausing and resting to give herself that, which is what I totally was doing. So that kind of makes sense for me that, I took my time off and was like, I need, to feel nurtured and cared for. And nobody's going to do it if I don't do it for myself in my current environment. It's funny because I'm living in my parents' home and my mother is over nurturing, but she's doing it in a way that's really unhelpful. Like, I've had so many conversations with her about how dairy, wheat, soy, and eggs make me sick. And she will make a meal and then she will ask me every single time, do you want
No.
cheese on this? Why? That's not nurturing. That's not supportive.
Mm-hmm.
In her mind, it is, because she is actually, I don't know what's going on in her mind, to be honest. I couldn't even explain to you why, because the equivalent of that is me saying, hey, I have a serious alcohol addiction. And then her offering me every night, would you like some wine? Who does that? Right. So there's this feeling that, the environment she's been in, where, look, it's cold and wintry, right? This is a Four of Swords that's like in the stark cold winter. And it's not been an overly warm place, and she's had to find her own warmth and seek her own warmth. So that's the current energy right now. But the end result is that there is a feeling of Empress energy. Beautiful, nurturing, abundant, prosperous, creative. That's all there. But the Empress is also, she's just sitting there. She's not getting off her throne because she doesn't have to. She can just sit there and things will come to her. But that pause, that wish, that star in reverse is showing me that she doesn't wish for that. Like, she wishes for motion, movement, partnership, like to move into that next stage of life. And that brings us to this card, which makes perfect sense, which is the Knight of Cups. And it's one where the knight is riding this big wave, and able to handle it, able to stand the bucking currents that are here. And this is moving into a space of being open and receptive to receiving proclamations of love, to experiencing romance, to experiencing emotional conversation. And in order to do that, one has to be emotionally available. And so the Divine Feminine, I think, has worked on that. That's literally what the healing has been about, like becoming emotionally available. It's scary to realize that you need another person in order to experience emotional fulfillment, and then recognize how few people you've actually attracted into your life that are capable of that. So that's a scary place to be, to know that you need it and then realize that a lot of times when you seek it, you're not going to find it. And so it's very hard to be emotionally available under those, in that mindset. And for me, that's probably a lot of what that Two of Pentacles is about, changing your mind really about how you think about your own emotional availability, your access to it, who's going to bring it to you, when it's appropriate, where it's appropriate, and also really, really hoping for it. But the problem I have is that one thing where I had that feeling of the divine feminine telling herself she needs to put aside childish things. It's actually the opposite. You have to be delusional. You are, it's being a pragmatic realist that has caused you to be like, I need to be hyper independent. I have to take care of myself. There's nobody out there who's going to meet my needs. All the TikToks I'm seeing are showing this horrible divide between masculine and feminine people, and there's nobody out there. There's no good men. There's no good women. There's no good whatever gender, and that is not working for you. Like, it's causing you to stay safe, to play it safe. So that's where she has been, but it looks like she's going into a place where she is able to embrace and be receptive to emotional conversations coming from the masculine energy.
I love that. That makes me very happy. I mean, I think also somebody, Lindsay Lay in the comments on my side actually said something really important, especially with your kind of channeled message of putting away childish things. She said, and emotional maturity as well. So, one of the things I almost wonder about is when you're saying putting away childish things, is maybe, the feminine energy coming into this headspace where they're thinking about their own emotional landscape and asking themselves, like, am I being emotionally mature? Or
Yes.
am I like, because again, we saw masculine being triggered. In some way, we know that feminine's inner child is being triggered. The reactions that feminine's been having also kind of an issue around her allowing her own abandonment wounds to kind of come to the surface, causing her maybe to be acting in less than a mature fashion than she knows that she should be. Um, Particularly since
Mm-hmm.
we saw last week, one of the things that masculine was literally doing was watching her suffer, right? Um,
Yes.
so very interesting. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, and
Thank you so much for the likes, the shares, and the follows. We really appreciate it. We are now going to go into doing the heart space. I'm going to start with the masculine, but while I shuffle the cards, I do want to remind all of you that both Pearl and myself are available for private readings. You can book a private reading on my website, greatrega.com. I offer a lot of different tiers. My readings also come with the addition of a video, which can be very convenient and helpful for you. Um, and Pro, would you like to let them know how they can book your services? And also, everyone on my side, please, if you're on here on TikTok, please make sure to be following Pearl at Pearl's Prayers. She gives amazing content. You're going to love her readings on the masculine and feminine energies daily are out of this world. So, Pearl, why don't you let everyone know how they can find you, where they can find you?
Sure. If you click the link in my profile, you will see pearlsprayers.com/members, which is going to take you to, like, basically it looks like a link tree page. There's a lot of things on there you might be interested in interacting with, including my YouTube channel, which has hundreds of hours of free readings. You can become a member for $5.55 a month to have access to any part twos that might pop up on TikTok. There's also a backlog of Tell Me Everything readings in there. You can book personal readings there. I also have a new option for a 15-minute free consultation if you're having trouble deciding what reading you want, or if you want to talk about some of the larger readings or pricing, or the pricing or the plans and pricing packages that are there that are available. So that is there if you've been curious, like, I don't know exactly what I need, or you just want to talk to me about what I think you might need. that option is available now on my site. Please don't abuse it. Like, just if you really need help and clarity, use that, because it is, if a lot of people booking free 15-minute consultations to find out what they need, that's going to be a problem. But it's really for, what do I need? Which reading do I need? What would help me the most? So that's available there. Now,
That's
for
really
those of you that have been contemplating, like maybe doing the spiritual initiate package, but you don't know what it entails, or so that's now there for you. And please also go follow Grace Strada, because do I really need to tell you why? Look at her shirt. Wait, can we now actually, because you're wearing that shirt, just reference for a moment the freaking TikTok I sent you last night that was like,
oh God,
she looks so cute, and then it's like, oh, it's trauma.
it's drama. Yeah, it is. It makes perfect sense. Share that. I definitely shared that with my audience, because it was just so perfect. It was so, guys, just to clarify what we're talking about. Pearl sent me this hilarious. Pearl and I have a joint shared a love of the 80s masterpiece Labyrinth, made by Jim Henson. And the I'm gonna blow it. I'm so bad at like summarizing things.
So it basically was
Do it.
like, yeah, it had like the text, the meme text was like, when you see someone who like looks cute and I think it was like, I can't remember exactly now, but it was like someone who looks cute and interesting and like dresses cute or whatever. And then like the actual speech part was like, oh, you're adorable. And then the next part was like, finds out your favorite movie is Labyrinth. Oh, you're traumatized. It was so good.
Amazing.
It
Amazing.
was so real.
Somebody did ask in my comments, so putting aside childish things, does that mean I have to put aside my collecting thing? No, of course not. I mean,
no, it was really talking. So the feeling that I got from it, it was more this um like judgment of divine feminine's fantasy about things all coming together. It wasn't even necessarily, it wasn't like a spiritual message that's like, divine feminine, you need to put aside childish things. It was literally the feminine's judgment of how she looks at the situation, or like her Disney princess fantasies that she's carrying in from childhood that are affecting the outcome of this relationship. And again, like the emotional immaturity thing. But no, my advice to all of the people who follow me is that you have to be like a child, or you can't enter into the kingdom of heaven, which is the kingdom of heaven is now and within. And so you do actually want to play, and you want to have fun, and you want to feel like a child. So that wouldn't be what I would be referring to. You can collect all the things you want to collect.
Yeah, somebody on my site, Desert Mama 98 Zay, said something really well, said it really nicely. She said, more like a childish mindset, not being able to communicate. Right.
Yes,
And
that's true. Yes.
that's,
And also viewing your person that way too.
or yeah, it could be, it's also like the idea that they're both kind of acting like children. Like, you
Yeah.
start, oh, you started it. No, it's your fault. No, I'm not going to talk to you ever again. Fine. I'm never going to, I don't want to see.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the
Yes.
vibe, like trying to walk away
Yes.
from.
Healing that dynamic 100%.
I'm going home with my ball.
Which takes the nurturing element, the Empress energy, to counter. Like, how do you, what happens if you're throwing a little baby fit, if you're triggered and you're throwing a little baby fit and it sounds like that, what do you need? You need yourself to hold yourself, comfort yourself, let yourself know that your feelings are appropriate, that it's okay for you to have these feelings, and then give yourself a way to manage it that's not going to harm anybody else. Like, that's what so think of yourself as a nurturing, mothering energy that's healed. Obviously, we don't, not all of us have great examples of that all the time, but the way that you would want to have been nurtured, that is what you have to do when that little part of self is throwing a little baby fit. You just have to be like, I can see you're frustrated. I know how hard it is when you want something that you can't have. Let me help you manage these feelings. And then once we manage the feelings, let's come up with a strategy for how we can meet your needs in a way that's healthier for us, right? Like if a kid is like, I want ice cream. And you're like, yeah, ice cream makes you sick though. So like, there's nurturing ways of having that conversation that's not like, well, you can't have it because it makes you sick and I'm sick of you being a little brat, right? Which is kind of the language I got, right? Like, so it's nurturing that childish energy as well.
Really well said, Pearl. Really well said. It also like, yeah. I think someone in my comments even went so far as to say like, or to find someone else that can help you with those needs, interdependent. Yeah, potentially finding another manifestation of the energy that is going to be more accommodating to those moments that you have, instead
Yes.
of reflecting them, which is what we want to avoid. It reminds me of like, my son when he gets mad, like when he gets really mad, he has these little outbursts. And like one of his favorites that he's done on countless times. You were used to do it. He's starting to stop doing it. But when he would get really mad, he would just look at me and he goes, I'm never going to love you ever again. And then he look on my face and then he immediately goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like it's like
Yeah.
children do that to us. We don't go, well, I'm not gonna love you either. Like
Exactly.
that's what we want to
Exactly.
avoid, reflecting that childishness back and forth,
Exactly.
even if it's triggering. So
Beautiful. That's perfect.
why don't we get started on the masculine heart space? So, for any of us, you joining us right now, we are doing the divine energies for the week. We are doing both divine masculine and feminine, bearing in mind that those are not based on gender, but what you feel aligned to. We have just finished up the heart space reading, and I mean the headspace reading, and now I'm going to do the masculine heart space. So, first things first, clarifying in the heart space this Page of Swords energy, which we see masculine inhabiting this week, and effectively, in a way, like reflecting feminine, because that's what they see here. Oh my God. Why? Why? You're asking yourself, what is taking on this shift? Why is masculine coming forward in this way suddenly? And having this new approach with feminine, ready for this new start with the manifestation of feminine, looking at feminine in this way where he's like, you know what? She's actually pretty. She's like, he's got a new respect almost for feminine's power, that there's something about this whole thing that's happened where feminine stood her ground. And now he's kind of seeing her in this new light. Why is this happening? Why is he ready to take this step? Baby, the world, the
Mm-hmm.
world. We love this. I love this. I love this. And I
It
love
was the
this
first card that dropped when I was shuffling when you came online.
really.
Yeah,
Um,
I like my Prisma Visions. That card fell when you came online today.
this
Yeah.
is what I like about this so much. This is so important. One of the things that we've seen over and over and over again right now with the masculine energy as it relates to the feminine, and like this bit of this fight that's been between them, is masculine has been doing a lot of stuff right now completely on his own. Right? We kept seeing it. Masculine was like, I got to do this myself. I got to do this myself. I got to do this so feminine likes me. I got to do this so feminine likes me. And feminine has been saying this whole time, dude, if you want me to like you, let me help. Like, consider me as you're doing. And he's like, no, I need to do this stuff by myself. You are something
Hyper
separate.
independence.
And
Yep.
yeah, and going, dude, I'm right here. Why are you doing this by yourself? Like, if you want to be here with me, we can just be here together. And he's like, no, I got to do this stuff. Masculine is reconsidering that. He is now starting something about the way feminine, he's looking at feminine. He's like, you know what? Why don't we, you know what? Oh, it's like a light bulb's gone off with masculine. Because again, we see him, he's like, oh, wait, feminine can actually, like, feminine has this, like, whole thing. Like, feminine's got a point here. And if I were to, if we were to do this together, we might be able to do something really great. We might be able to do some, we might be able to have the whole world at our fingertips if we, if I incorporate feminine in my plans. Like, it's Guys, the reason
You
we're
don't say.
reason we're laughing so hard, and I think if you know the feminine, if you guys have been following them, this is like when I say that this is I've never put we've never pulled this for masculine. When I say this is a light bulb moment we're seeing with the masculine energy, I mean we've never seen him do this before, and it's
It's true.
funny because this has been the thing that the feminine has been screaming at masculine for. I can't even remember for.
It's literally like, literally, oh,
I
I have a
can't
good idea.
literally like there's really this like she has a point mentality that's happened right now in the cards. It is so funny because it's like feminine. They're like, are you kidding me? Like this is we. But listen, I'm like laughing aside. We love this. We love this
Yes.
shift. I'm gonna after we're done here, I am going to like glue. If this keeps up, I'm just gonna have to glue these cards to the table so we won't be
I'm
able to do
also seeing a
this.
completion
We're gonna
there.
keep them right here.
Yes, keep them there. That world in the Page of Swords, I'm also seeing a completion energy to the cycle of the
Mhm.
watch and wait.
Yeah,
Like, wait until I'm brave enough. Wait until I can say the right things. Wait until I have the courage. I'm just going to watch from the sidelines. I'm just going to watch what she's doing. I'm just going to see if it's going to work. I'm just going to, like, I feel like that also is like, bye, like ending that stuff.
yeah. It's really. I think more than anything, one of the things I like about this too, right, is I think this also points out that there is a kind of a recalibration that's happening with the masculines too, where it's, what we've often seen, I'll also stress this, we've often seen the masculine has been keeping feminine in the heart space while completely doing a bunch of different stuff in the head space, which was very frustrating for the feminine because what was
Yeah.
happening was we saw a masculine who was, to all intents and purposes, doing things that looked like they did not involve or incorporate anything to do with the feminine in the day to day life, but holding a place for feminine in his heart. And that was driving feminine nuts. But what we see here is the opposite happening. We now see that feminine
Yes.
is moving headspace. Feminine is becoming more of a part of this, you know, plan, if you will, the plans, because in his heart space, he is now embodying the bigger picture, right? This is, to me, this is really an idea of seeing the bigger
Yes.
and having those optics now where he's not just looking, it's like masculine's not just looking immediately at the thing in front of him. He's thinking about much more like broader plans about what's going to happen. And understanding that as he
Yes.
does that, feminine is got to be there in some capacity too. Like they're not mutually exclusive. And
Hmm.
we love that.
We do love
Thank you guys
this.
so much for the likes, the shares, and the follows. If this is resonating, please make sure to tap that screen to claim it. All right. So, what do we have to clarify the Hierophant in reversed? Okay, we've got one hidden, which is curious. Ah, that's it. Wow. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Is that
We're,
Brienne? Is that the Eight of Swords? Yeah.
girl, we're gluing them down. What is going on with the masculine? Again, this feeling suddenly where they're like, I don't, again, I want to work now more with feminine. I want to find a way forward with feminine. I want, even if I want this new start with feminine. I want this new manifest, like I want all of these new things. I'm ready to try a different approach. I'm ready not to necessarily be the one to call all the shots because maybe feminine has a point, right? Why is masculine in this energy with he's like where he's being more open-minded, he's being more inclined to consider different options, he's being more inclined to like keep this open mind? Well, it's because masculine has been realizes, this is really lovely, masculine realizes that he has been trapping himself in this prison of his own creation with all of this hostility he creates when he thinks things are not going his way. Masculine is catching on
100%.
to a pattern that says, oh my goodness, every time I try to force things to go only the way I think they can go, the only person I end up hurting is myself, and I end up hurting myself all alone. And I don't need to do that. And masculine is catching on to the fact, we love this. Masculine is catching on to the fact that these are self-limiting beliefs. That so much of this is, again, a prison of his own
Yes.
creation from his self-limiting beliefs. And he actually, again, he's starting to realize, he's like, if I free myself of these, he's almost looking at feminine, who in a way has almost freed herself. This feminine has freed herself of those beliefs. And that's been the challenge between them. And so he wants to be out of this self-created prison that he keeps making with his own anger, his own fears, his own anxieties. He's starting to realize that that is not helping anything. It just isolates him and traps him in a place where he can't reach feminine. So he is like, okay, let's try it your way. Let's give this, let's see where this takes us. Because clearly, I think he also recognizes that this feminine is not just operating by herself. I think the other message here is he also sees that there's something about this feminine where she has a bigger plan. The feminine actually does have a certain ability in terms of being able to affect the world that he potentially does not have. And so now he's like, I'm interested. Please tell me more, kind of thing. Like, we love this. We love this. All right. Yes. And it is about time, Anna. It is about time. That's in my comments right now. Clarifying this Six of Swords reverse. Clarifying the Six of Swords. Wow. Wow. Everything I just said, right? So masculine is has this new perception on this manifestation of feminine. He sees her standing in her power. He sees that she does have this ability with this certain thing, that her own set of abilities that she has, and this kind of prowess around those. He's willing to open up right now in terms of considering like alternate pathways, and that he's willing to free himself from a lot of self-limiting beliefs. He realized he does not want to walk away from a particular situation. He does not want to abandon a particular connection with feminine that he has, that he that even with any potential like problems that have occurred in the past, he wants to almost put those painful things behind them, because in his heart, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Coins, he wants to come forward at some point and give this manifestation of feminine an actual physical, like an actual offer, like something that he like, some connection point to hold her to him. We love this. I love
Makes
this.
sense.
This is I don't know what, but I'm not I'm gluing them down. I'm just gluing them down when we're done, Pearl. We're not
All right. All right, let's look at divine feminine. So the mindset change that we've been working on so much. I love this because I shuffled all these cards and I said, I think the divine feminine has been trying to think differently. She's been trying not to focus on separation. And what comes up but the Ten of Swords. Literally trying to change her mindset, because we know the swords being this card's nervous system, anxiety, worries, and thoughts. These aren't real swords. They're your thoughts. There's, obviously nothing that can hurt you so much as your own thoughts about a situation in yourself. And being stuck in some kind of eternal loop or cycle and not wanting to be that way anymore, and recognizing that she was leaving the decision in someone else's hands, and that is really what makes you feel stuck, because you're giving your power away. You're saying like, oh, I'm gonna get out of this situation. It's funny, I'm thinking about money right now, where I have some bills I need to pay like right away type of deal, and more coming, and I need more income, and I am passive about it. I'm like, well, I'm relying on external bookings for readings and external interactions with my account rather than changing my mindset about how much power I actually have over my income. It's like this, oh, it's out of my hands kind of thing, but it's really not. Like, it's really not. So once you recognize that you're stuck and you need to make a change, that's when the magic happens. So this is really where the feminine has been doing the work. Is I keep thinking about separation. I keep experiencing separation, not just separation from a person, but separation from this version of self that I want to become. I want to be the self that takes care of my body. I want to be the self that nourishes myself. I want to be the self that creates amazing pieces of artwork to leave for the rest of humanity. I want to be the person who provides an abundant lifestyle for myself. It's like wanting to be that version of self, but feeling like you're like there's this big gap or this big bridge between you and that self, which is just your mind. Because I think I hurt my mom's brain the other day talking about the prayer study that they did. I'm sure you've heard of this prayer study before, where they have people pray. What's
Mm-hmm.
that?
I think I know which one you're talking about. Go on.
Yeah,
I'm
they have. Yes, they have people pray for people that are, they have patient A, patient B, patient C, whatever. And there's a group of people, half of the participants are prayed for, half of them are not prayed for. And then they look at the outcome. And there was this one study where they looked at these patients that were septic. So they took one day and they were like, we're going to pray for these people that are septic, and whoever, we're going to look at the results. Who got prayed for? Did they recover? And then after the study was done, the participants in the study were told, the people who had prayed for the individuals, that they had actually prayed for people in 1976, on a day in 1976, and the outcome was the same as if they had prayed for them in current energy. So I told my mom the story, and the only thing she kept saying over and over again was, well, they already knew who recovered. And I was like, but it's a blind study, so the people praying don't know that. She's like, but they knew who recovered, so those people recovered. So it's, and I was like, she can't understand that time is not linear. She can't understand that, like, that's the whole point of the study, is that there isn't one line. It's all happening right now. And so if time isn't linear, then the version of self that you're trying to align with, the one that you feel so separate from, that does exist. That version of self does exist. And all that's blocking you is the way you're thinking about yourself, your abilities, what you can do, who you truly are. There's nothing else blocking you from that except for those things, except for those thoughts, because that what you're observing, you're creating. That's the split particle theory, right? The particles coalesce when we observe them. When we're not observing them, they're not coalescing into matter. They are in waveform. And it takes the observer to get matter to coalesce, which means your thoughts are creating your version of self that you are right now. You can argue that as much as you want, but that's how it's going. Like, by physics, that's what's going on.
that
This
so
whole
is
thing here, the star in reverse, the Empress. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
No, no, I was going to say that also reminds me of it's similar a similar experience that I heard someone on. I wish I could remember who it was on TikTok describing,
Mm-hmm.
and this is kind of like why some of these inner child meditations are so important. Is there was this one woman who was describing how she had gone through a very difficult time as like a young adult or a teenager. And there was this one moment that she had hit rock bottom. And she described it that she thought that an angel had come to her. Because in this moment that she was feeling
Yes.
so filled with despair and so alone, she almost felt like this like warm, loving presence, like wrap its arms around her. And she really did spend a majority of her life thinking to herself, in that moment, an angel came to me and protected me and let me know when I needed it most that I was so loved. And she's like, I just felt this feeling of profound love. Now this gives me chills. Like, it gives me chills. You cut
I'm
to
getting them
her
because I know
death.
exactly what you're going to say.
You cut to her death. And she obviously, her life is in a much better place. She's doing a lot more work in spiritual, like spiritually centering herself. And she decided to participate in a meditation that she had heard about, where you basically close your eyes and you think about a time when you needed love. And immediately she goes into this meditation and she sees herself. She see herself looking at herself. She was herself looking at herself at that moment. And she went up to herself and she embraced herself. And she realized when she came out of the meditation, oh my God, it was me.
That
I
and it happened.
I was
Yes.
an angelic presence that went
It's
back in my
always
timeline and
you.
gave myself the love that I needed. Like, wow.
Yes. Yes. And it's always you.
Oh
Yes.
God.
And that's the thing that was frustrating, because when I went to tell my mom that story about the study,
Mhm.
I had been in tears because I had realized that in every moment of my life when things had turned around for me, it was because of this version of who I am now, knowing how to give my past version of self love, knowing that I could overcome these things, knowing that. So it's like this feedback loop, right? I know I can overcome it. It's Harry Potter when he sees himself casting the Patronus, and then Hermione says, how could you cast the Patronus? And he says, it's hard to explain, but I knew that I could do it because I had already seen myself
I
doing it.
saw
And your brain is
myself.
like, like it hurts. It hurts. Like it's hard to, but it's real. And so after I saw that prayer meditation thing, I just cried, and I was like, every day I'm going to pray for my past version of self. And now I know that it's this decision I'm making right now that got me that miracle apartment that I got me out of situations where I definitely would have been unalived, that kept me from being with my person before he was ready. Like, it's this version of me praying that I won't fall for any of that stuff, that I won't be with somebody who's clearly not ready at the time that I think he's ready. And so that's why when we're saying source or higher self, it literally is that. It's when you are in alignment with that energy, you are source, right? I am. What did the bush say to Moses? Moses said, "Who are you?" The bush said, "I am." You can't say that without being you, right? You can't call God by its name without saying I am. That's the whole point of that scene. So yeah, yes, very significant. So in the
Love it.
current energy where we have the Empress and the Four of Swords and the Star in reverse, what this is being clarified by is the Seven of Cups. And this is the biggest issue the Divine Feminine has, and it's a lack of clarity. Because I really think that's what the pause and the healing was about. I think there is confusion about what to do, where to go, who to be, because a lot of the old childish things, right, have been healed within you. But wait, just why do I have to stand up so that you can run and jump? Just run and jump. I don't know why you need me to go stand over there. Go ahead, do it. She like needs me to get up out of the chair, and then when I do that, she runs and jumps. I have no idea. It's like she's been trained to do that. I don't understand.
Like, mommy,
And
mommy,
she'll
mommy.
sit there and complain until I do it. I'm like, I don't understand. Yeah, it's like, watch me, mom. Look at me, mom. Watch what I can do.
I have a
Just do
child.
it, girl. It fascinates me. I like want it on camera because it doesn't make any sense. But I do think that because a lot of what we wanted in the past, we now realize is emotionally underdeveloped. Or maybe not even who we really want to be. Like, not even like, thinking we wanted something, but realizing that thing was so ego based. And now just being like, wait, I don't actually really want that. It was kind of an illusion. And if I don't want that now, what do I want? Because I can see that as an empress, I have a lot of options, right? Which is interesting because you were saying that the masculine was triggered by the feeling that divine feminine had a lot of options. And here we have divine feminine, the current energy going, I have a lot of options. And not knowing which option to pick, not knowing which path to choose, not knowing which direction to go in. So this whole pause, this rest, this time that she has had where she's been nurturing and developing, it's really been about tuning into the abundance of opportunities that she has at 1:11 on the clock as I'm saying this, and the knowledge that she has to choose a path, right? That Two of Pentacles is sitting there, and it's like, you got to choose. If you don't want to be in separation, then why are you staying there? Because there's these cups, and there's these cups, and there's this one. And that one is not upright. That one is the one you keep choosing, which is dumping out all of your cup to somebody who doesn't fill it up. Meanwhile, I got a cup. There's probably fish in these cups, I bet. Like there's like likely a fish in these cups. This one can't hold a fish. It's turned over and dumped out. So it's really hard, I think, for the feminine to make up her mind to choose which path to go. She still has an attachment. And how do I know that? Because of the next position. Knight of Cups. Oh, we're open to receiving emotional fulfillment from someone or something. And then this Devil card comes out over top of the Two of Cups. If you're getting a lot of twos in your readings, it means you have to change something. And if you're getting the Devil card coming out with the Two of Cups, then I'm seeing a lot of fear and anxiety around relationship. I'm seeing fear probably that is coming from this idea of not knowing if you've made the right choice or what choice to make. And also I'm seeing addiction. Addiction to relationship as solution to all problems. Like you've got a burning desire to be in partnership, to be in union. But the only time that this is an issue, because we do need union, we do need connection, there's nothing wrong with desiring that. When it's a problem is when our ego is attached to a specific union. I don't know how many times I will have to teach this to myself, but here we are again teaching this to myself. Being attached to the outcome of this relationship is what causes you to feel you don't have options. It's an illusion. It is not real. It's perpetuated by your mind.
Mm-hmm. It's also a toxic.
Feminine's heart knows what's up.
Yeah. It's also a toxic connection to union.
It's also a what?
A toxic connection to union. Potentially a toxic connection to union.
Yes.
Like it's almost like I'm seeing.
And I think it's just really about the fear. Because
it's about
this is image.
Because this is why we need to let go like this. We need to let go. We literally saw all of those control issues rear their head in masculine, and here's feminine. It's like, well, feminine, why are you holding on to this connection so tightly? Do you realize that is also an expression of bad controlling behavior, right? To be like, this partnership, if I don't have this partnership, then nothing is, like that in itself is damaging to the connection. It's almost like holding something so tightly that it has nowhere way to breathe, right?
Yes. And I also noticed before, and I was going to say something, and then I didn't get a chance to say it, and it's coming back around. So I know it was meant for this point, for this card to come out. Look at what this wave here of emotion is. Basically, what do I want to say? like you're overriding it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're overriding this sea monster. You're using this like romantic, this is the childish thing part. You're using romantic connections still to get away with not dealing with what you're really afraid of, which is going to bring us back to the original message that Grace started off with about the masculine's fear of abandonment. Like, that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing the same fears,
There are,
the same anxiety, the same, like,
yeah.
you're using romantic connection to kind of not deal with what you're truly afraid of. Romantic connection means something like that. In truth, it's it's like a bypass. Like, you're like, oh, I'll make myself feel better about all the things I'm afraid of, all the things that make me anxious, all of the things that I'm worried about happening. Those things won't be as frightening anymore if I just hear that someone loves me. And in truth, that makes so much sense. And it's actually the most logical thing for you to think if you're a child. If you're a child and everything is scary and everything is terrifying, the the most comforting thing is to know that somebody in your life loves you,
Mm-hmm.
holds you, protects you. So it's not even, I can't even fault you for it, because
Yeah.
it's absolutely logical from a child mind to be like, I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of success. I'm afraid that I won't be able to do it. I'm afraid that I can't commit. I'm afraid that this person is going to hurt me. I'm afraid that this is, so you know what's going to make me feel better? Being loved. Being loved is going to make me not feel afraid, because if I'm loved, then I'm supported and I'm safe and I'm protected.
Mm-hmm.
So it does make a lot of sense that this is what's going on in the head and heart space. The head is like, I'm ready. Like, I can totally do it. I can totally navigate these waves of emotion. I can totally experience love coming from another person. And then the heart space is like, no, you can't. No, you can't, because relationships can end. Relationships can be toxic. Relationships can be obsessive. Relationships can be whatever.
I
So this
also
is, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, and I just, so just 2 points, because someone did ask. So Ketty did ask about, she says she wishes she could rewatch this. So just a heads up, this will be available on my YouTube channel. If you want to watch it afterwards, I will be putting it there. Um, but she also said something that I think is very relevant to what you're showing in the cards, Pearl, because she said, she was asking if all of this was happening on the masculine side. She said, what? Because the masculine energy isn't ready yet. And I think that that's exactly the point that you're trying to make, Pearl.
Oh, I have a quote for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad that she said this, because this quote will fix this problem for both
Yeah.
the masculine and the feminine. And yes, it's not the masculine energy that is experiencing this. This is a feminine energy, but your person who may be a masculine has feminine energy, so yes, they're experiencing this. But my quote is this: believing that you are not ready is a way for you to abandon what you feel.
I love
And
that.
that is what your person does. And that
Mm-hmm.
is what you do. If you say to yourself, I'm not ready, then you can abandon finishing your record,
Mm-hmm.
going on tour, getting
Mm-hmm.
into a relationship, because how you feel actually is that you are ready for connection. But believing that you are not ready is abandoning how you truly feel.
Well, and I even think, looking at the cards that you pulled, I think that there's also a really valuable message that's happening in the heart space of the feminine, if they're willing to see it, which is, it is like the idea that potentially that kind of mindset saying, well, I'm not doing anything right now because my masculine isn't ready. Like, I can't have this union because the masculine isn't ready. I can't do this because the masculine isn't ready. Again, that's putting a lot of our own, like, plans and projects on hold and blaming the masculine for our own inability to move forward on things, right? I'll point out right now, one of the things the masculine, this masculine energy is seeking right now in a feminine is looking at feminine being like, damn, look at what that chick's do. Like, look at all that stuff she's doing. Look at all this. Look at her. She's got this whole world. She's got all this stuff. Like, masculine is not right now looking at feminine being like, damn, look how obsessed she is with me. Like, that's not what masculine wants right now in his connection with feminine. Masculine wants a counterpart energy right now where he looks at her and goes, shit, she's just, she does, and what's really beautiful about this, because I need to stress this, last week, this is why this, I think the shift occurred, because masculine was expecting to watch feminine be like, I'm going to be mean to her and I'm going to see how sad she is. And instead, what's caused this change in masculine is he was sitting there waiting, being like, I want to watch her suffer. Watch, I'm going to be mean to her. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm going to see what happens. And you know what happened? Masculine went, she's doing shit. What? She did what this weekend?
This
She's doing
is so accurate to me, Gray. Like,
what?
stop reading me.
She's doing what with what? Whoa. What? Wow. Look at her go. Look at her go. What the hell am I doing? Wait, come back, come back, come back. That's literally the vibe right now that masculine is doing. He's like, wait. No, wait. I stand corrected. I thought you were gonna, I thought you were just gonna sit there and cry. And instead you did, you're just charging forward. Like, that's what I mean right now. And that's what I say. I think the thing that feminine is working through is she still has this part of her that says like, damn, like, oh, I'm holding on to my relationships too tightly. I'm making them, if I do nothing but obsess over my relationship with masculine, then I literally do nothing. And that's where I think we see that 7 of Cups mentality, which is kind of this reorientation to feminine, which is like, I create, like, and again, this is, I was talking about this in like earlier this week on a live, which is I don't like the fact that so many people on TikTok seem to we give masculine all this like guff about where we find them, but forgetting that feminines kind of led them to this point. I'm not saying it was entirely intentional. I'm saying, like, again, we're like surprised that we meet masculine in a place where they have a hard time like sharing emotions and that they're emotionally mature, when we literally create a society where we ask for a strong masculine energy, but one that never shows any emotion or sign of weakness. Like, feminine needs to take accountability for where they find masculine. It's not entirely their fault. But like, I'm often going to say, I'm like, you want that big, strong manifestation of masculine, but you also want them to be emotionally grounded and able to share with you. Are you okay with that big, strong version of masculine crying on your shoulder sometimes, telling you that they're weak? Oh, no. Oh, you don't like that? Oh, you just want him to show up to you with like an amazing toolkit of emotional vulnerability that you also don't have never, no one's ever allowed him to have. Like, we need to take accountability in this. And one of the things I think that we're seeing with feminine is this idea of accountability and understanding, you know what? When I make my relationship the absolute center, the only thing I concentrate on, the only thing I do, and I throw away all other possibilities and connections and 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 everything else in my life, I am the cause of a toxic relationship. Like, it's starting with me because I am creating that environment. It's like you or nothing forever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally like almost like strangling the flower.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Cool.
Oh,
Awesome.
I just have a little nugget for you. I don't know if you saw it on my page, but somebody accused me of appropriating tarot, and I had to tell them about my family lineage. And then they came back at me with that they were Romani, and I did not realize that Romani claim ownership over tarot, even though the first decks were
Italian.
like Marseille, the French, and the Italian decks.
The earliest decks, the earliest deck we have was from Italy. I'm going to say this till
I think there's one that's really, I think there's the French deck that's very, very close to the same time as the Italian deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, no, you didn't just say that I have pro
Nobody,
New York. My ego was
nobody,
like,
nobody else. I've done a lot of research on it. We actually have no idea where the tarot came from. And yes, it
I
is
didn't
true.
realize that Romany claim, but I went and did my research afterwards because I went and researched that, and they actually claim ownership over tarot reading.
No, but who?
And
Yeah,
I
but
think that's.
I want to pause on it. Who's they? Because I've literally
if you go look up Romany and tarot, and you'll find like their stance on it. It's interesting.
But what stamps? Like I'm dubious about that. But we can. I'm definitely gonna take that. I want to talk to you about that like offline because that's the first time I've ever heard that, and
I've never heard it either. But this girl came for me, and then I went and looked it up, and I did find that there is a claim that Romany have to being like the first, because it's like they're claiming that it came from Asia.
But again, we have that. There's no evidence of that. There's literally no evidence.
No, I know.
They're
I agree
all.
with you.
But
what I'm saying is
but
that I didn't realize that was a thing that they believed.
Well, I mean, again, I also feel dubious about saying that all Romani feel like that because I've spoken to Romani who are.
Oh no, I don't think all of them do. Well, I'm just saying that there is apparently a group of Romani who do believe that. Like, and I didn't know that because she came for me and then she was like, "I'm Romani and whatever," and I was like, "So." Yeah. I'm like, the first decks are Italian, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean,
not
first
only
of all,
that,
even
only that.
A lot of different.
How do you come after a white person's background without knowing it? You don't know what my heritage is. I don't have a single Anglo-Saxon drop of blood inside of me. I'm all the minority white people. I'm Italian, Scotch, Irish, and then my dad is Iroquois. So I'm like, how do you come at me for that? Because you can't judge somebody by the way they appear.
There's literally no. I mean, the one of the things, and I actually kind of appreciate this. I feel like it's kind of a gift that's given to us by our ancestors because I love the fact that the tarot is literally open for anyone to use. I actually think maybe there was some kind of beautiful divinity in the fact that we literally don't know where it came from, which means nobody can claim it.
Nobody should.
If anybody could claim it, like if anybody actually wanted to claim it would be the Italians.
Exactly. That's what I have always learned.
The provenance of tarot, and I've done a lot of research on this because when I teach it, I like to teach people the history of tarot. The provenance of tarot basically disappears or start. We know it existed before it reached Italy, but we literally have a giant question mark as to where it came from. A lot of people have a lot of different theories, but I have to stress that they are all theories. And yes, one of those is that potentially the Romani brought it. Another one is that the Egyptians brought it. Another one is some people even think, and I love this one, I don't know if it's, but some people think that it was an attempt to smuggle the learnings from the Library of Alexandria out of Alexandria Library before it was destroyed. All of these are theories. So you can tell yourself you like one, but we can never say, yes, this is what the tarot is. All we know is some playing cards appeared in Italy. What happened before that is completely conjecture. Yes, aliens.
She was basically accusing me of being a fake reader because I couldn't claim like lineage of reading or something. I don't know. It was really weird. But we just had different beliefs. Like it was odd, but I had never heard that before, so I wanted to see if you had heard that.
Heard that before, and actually one thing I thought was really interesting, and I believe at some point I think I actually shared the TikTok when I had it, was that there was some girl, a very white girl, who was yelling at all of us and saying nobody can use the tarot but the Romani. And what actually happened, it was stitched by a Romani spiritualist who was like, first of all, that's not true. Second of all, I'm sorry, you're a white girl. Why are you telling people that you know anything about my culture? It's not for you to even make that claim.
That's what I literally put on the thing.
You don't see
how another white person using appropriation to assert power. which is
exactly. He's like,
what
"You
it's literally
smile."
taking a concept
He's like, "Do you
from
realize
the
how?"
oppressed
Yeah,
and then oppressing other people with
that's
it.
basically what incredibly exploitive of my culture. Like, I know you're pretending that you're like you're coming in as a white knight, like literally a white knight, but like you have no place to do. Like, you don't realize how offensive it was. I thought it was really beautifully handled.
I love that. Well, anyway, I thought that was interesting. Also, my ego was so triggered by that. I was just like,
Oh, I get
I'm
no. I mean,
sorry.
listen, if anyone comes up to you with, I mean, and that, I mean, I get more than
I just
anything.
hate being mistaken as an Anglo-Saxon. Also,
Well, it's
I'm
just, it
not.
bothers me.
My people were tortured by the Anglo-Saxons, tortured,
I
raped, murdered.
I can't stress how upsetting I get when the one thing like you can do around the tarot that upsets me is when anyone tries to keep it from anyone.
Yeah,
Like
don't gatekeep shit anyway. I don't
I
understand.
I as someone who's like, learned certain spiritual practices from my family, and I was told like literally like you can't do this, I can't share this with you under these conditions. I respect and appreciate that there's some spiritual practices that are kept within cultures for very specific reasons, and I honor and I respect that those are true. But I also appreciate the fact that one of the things I love about tarot is that it is literally open to everyone. So I get really bothered whenever I see anyone try to say you can't do this, or even like I hate the idea. One of the things I hate so much is this fallacy that goes around that says you cannot buy yourself your own deck of tarot cards. You have to be given them by someone. Ooh. And I'm like,
Oh yeah,
that
I
is
remember
so.
hearing that.
I'm like, I've actually said, I'm like, you know who made that up? Bunch of old fortune tellers that didn't want you to learn the deck because then you wouldn't come to them. I'm like, they're a bunch of old fortune tellers who are trying to make that money, and they're like, buy your own deck. I was given mine by my great great grandmother on a full moon, and if you buy your own deck, it's going to literally burst into flames the minute you put your debit card down. Like, it's so it's sheer hilarity to me that anyone believes that, because I'm like, can you not get how convenient it is
Very
for tell
superstitious.
you that? So anyway,
So annoying.
but yeah, that is very frustrating.
Sorry, side note. I just thought of you. I
We
was like,
digress.
oh my god, I have to talk to
Yeah,
Gray about this.
no, you do. We need
I
to
was like,
start
you're not coming from an Italian from New York.
people again. That would drive me
Oh
nuts.
my god.
Anyway, for any of you joining, hello.
I was irritated.
We're doing the divine feminine, divine masculine energy updates for the week. We had a little digression, a little path, as me and Pearl often do, talking about where the provenance of tarot and gatekeeping on tarot and how all of that is bad. And we are now going back to working to the reading, and we've done so far
Yes.
we've done the headspace on masculine, the heart space on masculine. I'm now going to do bottom of the deck, and then we're going to move on to advice. So bottom of the deck for the headspace on masculine right now is the Six of Cups. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. I love this, especially given the fact that we talk so much about inner child. All of this, and this would also came up around the inner
Yes.
child things. So again, one of the things that masculine is still, and I think again, this is bottom of the deck, so it's in the headspace. So they need to keep it in mind. I feel like they have a feeling about it, right? One of the things about masculine right now is, again, he's seeing this manifestation of feminine coming forward in this new power, and he's ready for a new start with her. He's ready to try to abandon some of these more conventional beliefs. He's also willing to kind of let go of control to a certain extent, all of those control issues that we saw last week. He's keeping an open mind on how this is going to work and what is going to work on, because more than anything, he has decided he has one thing he wants and one thing that is important to him, which is he does not want to lose this manifestation of feminine. The thing that's a little hard for him to accept is that, again, there's a lot of inner child healing that is occurring at the same time as this. And, you know, I think that masculine is kind of going through this phase where he realizes that he's been getting triggered. and that he's kind of scared to face that. Like whatever those triggers were that came up, he's still very he I don't think that I think he might I think masculine realizes it's there. I think he actually doesn't know how to deal with the stuff. Like all of the stuff that's been coming up for him around it. It's like all of this stuff was triggered by feminine. He like unleashed it on feminine. We saw it get unleashed last week. He knows it's still there. And I think it scares him a little. I think that one of the things that happened was a lot of these feelings that came up around this scared him because he realized not only did it make him realize like how much is going on under the surface that he himself doesn't really understand or see from day to day, but I think it also made him realize how much he really, really, really values feminine and how much he kind of wants feminine in his life to help him work through these things. Bottom of the deck for the heart space. Nine of coins. And this is a nine of coins with feminine sitting there in the center. He wants to come forward and make feminine an offer. We see this, and he wants to kind of free himself. We see that masculine wants to free himself from these kind of prisons of anger that he gets into, because the anger is really fear, right? Whenever he gets angry at feminine, it's because really a fear spray like up out of the surface, and he wants to start thinking about how to move forward, like the bigger picture. But he's also really worried because he also worries deeply about what kind of security or comfort he can provide this feminine, and whether he can ever kind of meet her where she needs to be met to make her as comfortable as he thinks that she needs to be kept in order for her to remain. And this is where we see again masculine's focus on the practical, on the coin, right? He's still thinking about this a lot. He's even again, even with all these things we said, he's like, I need to come forward with an offer. I need to show her in some material way, you know, because he still can't let go of that entirely. And he's very worried because this is why he's thinking about trying to put an offer together in some way. He's very worried. He's like, if I don't, she's going to go away. And then there comes that abandonment wound roaring back up to the surface. So, and again, I will point out this is not the reality. This is bottom of the deck energy. This is what he hopes or fears. Really kind of sweet, actually. What do you got bottom of the deck over there for feminine?
Yeah. So I have an interesting card coming up for the feminine in the headspace. This is the Prisma Visions deck, and there's a card in this deck called the Reverie card. Has a big old question mark on it, and it's kind of hard to see, but it's basically showing two individuals in a boat. One is kind of sitting back, has stopped rowing, and the other is playing a harp. You can see like they're playing a harp there, and they're just sort of reclining the boat. And obviously, a reverie is like a beautiful dream, something you're imagining. You're lost in a reverie. You're lost in these like good feelings of the coming, stemming from some kind of a fantasy or whatever. And then there's this big old question mark. And the question mark is bringing me back to the confusion and the current moment Divine Feminine is feeling about making decisions and choices. This whole reading for her was a lot about choice. Two of Pentacles, two of Cups, twos being about choices and change, and then the Seven of Cups, which is also about choices. So Divine Feminine is really confused about what choice to make, and she's, I think, afraid to make the wrong decision. And there's part of her right now that's going like, have I been lost in this reverie of what could happen? And it's not really real. It's just kind of a dream. And because it's a dream, like I don't know if I should trust it, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen. And I always tell people when they book my When Will It Happen spread, I should really just call I just really should call that spread will it happen? Because if you're asking when will something happen, it really just means that you're not believing it will happen. And getting a date is this way for you to assure yourself, oh, it's going to happen. And then also getting a date that's far in the future is going to give you an excuse to be like, well, I'm not waiting for that. I'm going to make this decision. Or getting one that's really soon or close is going to be like, well, now I can choose to wait. But the true core of that reading is, do you have the faith in what you want happening, or don't you? And that spread that I do, I specifically chose that spread. I found it online and it's so good because it shows you all the ways that you may be affecting the timeline, the outcome. And what I have Divine Feminine here in this reverie of right now is, when will it happen? Which is, will it happen? Because it's so dreamlike and it's been something that I've been imagining for so long and I'm so confused. I just said to somebody, oh, my friend last night. Oh, it was Kyle. I talked to Kyle last night from our Vegas trip. We had a good long chat.
Nice.
And I was talking about my music stuff and about how confused I am about music, where I'm like, I can't tell if I don't want to work on music right now because I'm afraid that it won't ever turn into anything, or if I'm just not really that interested. Like, if it's just something that I'm 40, I've done it for a long time, and maybe I just don't want to anymore. And it's just sort of like a real internal thing that I'm just like, it's just not for me anymore. Like, I can't make sense of it. I can't figure it out. And I think the feminine is in that place with her person also, which is, I can't tell if this is just a childish fantasy that I've wanted since I was a girl, or if it's something I really do want, but I'm just really afraid of. And I got to tell you, babes, based on this here last placement of this reading, I think we can answer your big old question, which is, it is something you really, really want. And you're just afraid of it. You're afraid of it not working out. You're afraid of not showing up for it in the way you want to show up for it, or that someone else isn't going to, or whatever. You want it, but you're just afraid of it. And part of the fear is probably that you don't have a whole lot of clarity. And also, something that was pointed out to me last night was that I keep trying to do the work of the in-between, like the God's work, basically. I keep trying to figure out how the thing is going to happen and where I should put my energy, instead of having faith that it will happen and acting in accordance with that belief. If I believe that I'm going to be successful in music, then don't I act in accordance with that? That means that I would gravitate towards practicing for touring, or getting my tracks ready for mastering, or whatever it is that you insert whatever creative thing you do there. If you believe it's going to happen, you act in accordance with the belief. Right, so true. If you've not been doing anything lately, it's likely because you don't believe the thing is going to happen. Well, and so you're not acting in accordance with it.
I think there's also no, I was going to say, I think there's also something to be said about, again, like you said, moving everything into this forward timeline is maybe, working on manifestation practice that actually says it's happening. It's happening. Like, understanding that everything happening now
gets
you to that point, and really kind of fully embracing not this idea of, is it going to happen? Saying, no, it's happening now. What I'm doing right now is moving me towards that goal. I think that is a big shift that needs to occur too.
Yes.
Where you start to embody it instead of looking
at. And you can do that. It keeps cutting out, so I think you're done talking. Sorry. It's like a little delayed. And the oh shoot, I just lost it. Oh well, maybe it'll come back to me.
About going to happen. But going to happen versus, like, being able to manifest that, like, as a
oh yes something that will help you navigate that is understanding the difference between manifest and alignment. Manifest means you make new. If you've already thought about it happening, then you've already manifested it. Alignment means you are getting in tune with it. So shifting from this mindset of, you know, I need to make this happen. You already did. You already manifested because you already thought about it so much. You already imagined it. You already had this reverie that you've been in for a really long time. That's why it is already happening. So it isn't your work right now to do another manifestation ritual after the full moon or whatever the hell. It's your work to get into alignment with the thing you know is happening. That's where the attunement is. That is where the acting in accordance with what is actually happening. And the you did heart space too, right? You did both already.
Headspace and heart space.
Yeah, that's right. The bottom of the deck for the heart space is this Three of Pentacles with a huge mountain in front of it. So this concept that we only overcome obstacles like this by working together. And as much as Divine Feminine is like, I've been telling the masculine that the whole time, the universe right now is reminding her, yeah, so then why are you trying to do everything by yourself? Because you literally are telling the masculine energy, listen, we got to work together. And then you're going to your own life and to your relationship, the situation that you're in, and you're trying to move this mountain all by yourself.
If you need me, I'll be in my mind palace. Like, why aren't you working with? Why aren't you working with me? If you need me, I'll be in my mind palace.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
You have to, and I also think there's another message here, which is that you have, because the Three of Pentacles is also about building a sanctuary. And I think that the reverie that you remain in is the sanctuary you're building in your mind palace. It's not a physical 3D situation because you are remaining only in your imagination. You're not trying to actually experience these things in the 3D. Your fixation on one particular relationship working out prevents you from entering into any other physical relationships. So it's literally this reverie, this imagining, this future potential thing that we always get stuck in, that is causing you to remain stagnant in the sanctuary of the illusion of control. Because obsession is just a way to control someone else. They can't leave your mind. They're under your control.
Very fair. Very, very true. I love that in my comments.
Why do I read like this?
Desert Mama 98 saying, "Stop calling me out." I feel called out as well. And that's why Pearl's readings are so great.
So do I. And my day wouldn't be done if I didn't call us all out. So
exactly. Guys, thank you guys so much for the likes and the shares and the follows. I really appreciate it too. All right, we've hit that point now where we're going to get to advice. So for anyone joining, thank you guys so much for joining. We are doing the Divine Feminine Masculine Energy updates for the week. So far, we've done the Headspace for masculine, the heart and feminine, the heart space for masculine and feminine. We've done bottom of the deck in terms of what, the problems, the areas in what we're seeing. Somebody, she wrote, "I'm super independent and so is my partner." Such a call out. Listen, independent is not necessarily a bad thing, as long as it's collaborative independence, right?
No.
So
interdependence is what we're aiming for. Two people who have the Nine of Pentacles energy cultivated, they take care of themselves. They allow themselves their own rewards. They give themselves what they need, and then they share that together. Exactly. And that takes you from the Nine of Pentacles into the Ten of Pentacles. If you're single and independent, you're flourishing, taking care of yourself, that's great. But you're in the Nine of Pentacles, not the 10, which is two individuals sharing all that they have.
Beautiful said. All right, so why don't we get into it? Let us get into the advice for, let's get into advice for masculine as we move forward. Can I please get a card for advice? So the advice for masculine, moving through this energy. Oh, this already. I love this already so much. Masculines, all of this is beautiful. I gotta say, I'm serious. I'm gonna have to glue all these cards down. Everything I'm seeing here, I love this direction. I want you to understand this, everything you're feeling here. If masculines are seeing this and they felt a change, they're feeling a little better than last week. That's because, baby, this is what healing feels like. This is what healing feels like. It's a nice feeling, right? Doesn't hurt as much when we're not just sticking each other with swords all the time. This is what healing feels like. We can keep this energy going. We can continue on this way. And the way we continue doing this is that we don't hurt each other. We don't, or nobody hurt, masculine and feminine don't hurt each other. They work together on their healing journey. They don't try to tear things apart. They try to build things together. This is a healing journey. Let's focus. Okay. And I think the important thing to keep in mind here, this is not to say that everything is hunky dory. This is not to say that everything is now perfect with masculine and feminine. I guarantee you, me and Pearl are going to do the cards next week, and this is probably all going to like just go again, like it always does. But if you're hitting a nice good week, if you're having a good week with feminine, try to pay attention to what you're doing differently this week and why it's working. Do more of that because it clearly is working. Because if you're feeling better and it seems like she's feeling better, then it works. So whatever you're doing this week, if it works, keep doing more of that, right? And I think that there's also a need here again to find ways to heal the past heartaches. This is not to say that this is clear that there's been a lot of pain that's led up to this point. And I think that that pain, there is an understanding here, I think, especially with this coming up in the advice, that pain will have to be addressed at some point. It might not, this is kind of this newness here is good. This is definitely a walk in the right direction, but there will be a point where you're going to have to talk about the pain that has happened and how to fix those areas too. Mm-hmm. So that's the first piece of advice. Next piece of advice, but let's see. Whoop, there it is. And we also need to talk. I think part of that healing is accepting both sides of the feminine, right? Because what we're really seeing mm-hmm. here is, again, you like this energy that you're finding feminine right now in, where she's, just it's almost like there's something about a Page of Swords energy that is very surface level, right? It's very much like, hey, like it's coming at someone with a very specific like newness, but someone who I think even masculine realizes that this isn't necessarily exactly the full breadth of feminine. This is just the new way he's seeing feminine, like a new aspect of feminine. I think one of the things that needs to be addressed here is I feel like masculine is some of the wounds that's come up around this, the connection to feminine is masculine's a little afraid of feminine. Masculine, if you want, and here's the thing, it's really like the idea of feminine having power in the relationship, right? That's the thing that's scary. And that's why we see him, again, struggling with some of these relinquishing control things, because, you can't both. You can't want a feminine who's doing her own thing, who's in her power, but then be afraid of where that leads to, which is a feminine who does her own thing because she's so full of power, right? And that's something that is going to need to continue to have work in. Is I feel like there is a part of this, of masculine right now, that kind of sees feminine, like desires a feminine who's in her power, but only a little, like, but but only a little power and only in certain areas. Like just you stay
Yeah.
here. You do this part and then you be powerful, but anywhere else you're not powerful. It's embracing the fact that like, yeah, if you have a powerful feminine around you, it can be a little scary. It's going to feel a little intimidating. She's and I think that the big fear here is that he sees that and he worries about what happens if she turns on him, if you will, right? Like, oh my goodness, how could I let someone like with so much power close to me because that person could hurt me? And it's like, yeah, that's the risk you take with being with a powerful manifestation of feminine. It could turn sour. But I feel
It's
like you're also
actually, I was just going to say, it's actually not just the risk you take, it's guaranteed. I think something that people have to embrace is that you are going to get hurt in your relationship. The one that lasts forever, you're going to get hurt in that one. That's what's going to happen. It's not going to ever not happen. There's not going to be, okay, so maybe the real thing that's happening in the twin flame dynamic is people convince themselves that the twin is never going to hurt them. Meanwhile, the entire relationship with a twin is all about getting hurt and still surviving. So it's not a risk that you're going to take. It's a guarantee. Your ass is going to get hurt
mm-hmm.
over and over and over. You're going to get triggered. You're going to get upset. You're going to get mad. You're going to get sad, disappointed, depressed, frustrated. And you're going to stay in the dynamic because you love each other and continue to support one another, even when you're hurting one another. And it doesn't mean that you get to be abusive to each other. It means you have to mitigate those situations and work on your emotions and your communication. But it's not a risk, it's a guarantee. And that's what the masculine needs to embrace. He is going to get hurt. So anybody in a relationship gets hurt. I just screamed at my parents a few weeks ago, set like at the top of my lungs. And the next day, we all ate dinner together because that is what you do in families. Like you get frustrated, you get mad, you get upset, you say things you don't mean.
Very,
So
very
if you're
true.
afraid with the divine feminine there, afraid of relationships, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of getting hurt? Are you afraid of getting burnt? You're gonna, but you're gonna be okay. That's the whole point. It doesn't kill you. It's a false.
Mm,
The ego illusion is that these things destroy you. But
yeah.
every time, what you prove in this dynamic is that it doesn't destroy you. It
Again,
doesn't.
Desert Mama said it really beautiful in the comments. She said it's like we're constantly going through the tower because we're constantly mirroring and growing. Yeah, and that's the I think that's the important thing here,
Yes.
right? Which is like, yeah, and I think that masculine needs to understand like what we're seeing here is if with this manifestation of masculine who desires, clearly desires, he gets really excited when he sees his feminine like having this place of power and having this like acumen around certain things in the world. Like, yeah, whenever you have someone who's super powerful in your life, the fear is that that power is going to, you know, turn against you. But here, there's a very easy way not to have that happen. I mean, it's like, like you said, it's this energy here that we see the Six of Swords reversed. We see both of these, both sides right now. The thing that
I'm not going anywhere. Yeah.
I'm not anywhere. And as long as they continue to work on this and as long as they make it clear to one another, I'm not going anywhere, then yeah, like sometimes the Queen of Wands is going to get reversed. Like feminine's going to have her moments and it's going to drive masculine crazy, but
Yep.
it doesn't. Again, the important thing here is like you have to accept that like when she's in her upright, she's the most powerful queen in the deck. This is the witch card. This is like this could also indicate
Mm-hmm.
that masculine's a little afraid of the spiritual connection that this feminine has because they're like, wow, she's powerful. Oh, what can she actually do? Kind of thing. Like it's really kind of very, very much in that
Mm-hmm.
intimidating, but that's okay. Embracing that is perfectly okay. As long as you can accept that
Mm-hmm.
could potentially happen from time to time. But it's also, again, a reverse card is not the only way it's going to be forever. It's just going to be it might be a momentary thing that happens. You got to have the bitter with the sweet, bitter with the sweet. And final, oh, you see,
yes.
here's,
And ironically, you want it. You want that.
mm-hmm. And also, again, but here's, and this is really lovely too, which is this idea again. What I'm also seeing here again, it's like, I know like masculine clearly has these fears to work through around the power that he wants in the feminine connection. He wants her to be her own person. He wants her to have her own life. He wants her to be autonomous, but then he's also scared of it. So there is this back and forth, that this I mean, I want to say like a mental hypocrisy, that this paradox that masculine needs to work through. He has to understand, if he wants one thing, he has to accept it in all the facets that come along with it. And he also has to accept the fact that, like, feminine, the thing is, it's kind of really sweet though. It's like the one thing that is important is also the fact that he needs to recognize that feminine is not his enemy. Feminine is not his feminine is not trying to go to war with him. His feminine is not his adversary. His feminine deeply desires to be his collaborator and to work with him, with masculine. And that feminine does not, that I like this because it really says to me, this powerful feminine can pick up a sword when she needs to, but she would very much prefer not to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I mean, which is like the power, yes. As long as they're on the healing journey, in a way, the masculine doesn't have to be afraid of this, because we even see here that this is even his version of feminine, like of his manifestation of feminine here is super powerful, but she's also not someone who wants to hurt him. She's going to defend herself, going to defend herself if she has to defend herself. And when she does, watch this feminine, like, watch out, because she knows this is a feminine who knows how to use the sword. She has taken the classes. But masculine, that is the last thing this feminine wants to do. This feminine does not want to be the enemy, and she's not trying to hurt masculine in any of the things that she does. All she's trying to do is stand in her power, to do the thing it seems he wants her to do, which is stand in her power, to be independent and powerful. That's not meant to hurt masculine. That's her being the version that he truly desires. Bottom of the deck on this.
Yeah.
Hangman reversed. Again, this is really what I mean.
Reversals.
I know. And it's all the advice. Hangman reversed, which is, and this is beautiful. This is exactly the message that I just said. Masculine has all the power to make any of this happen, like to make things happen here. I think there's an aspect here that masculine needs to recognize, that he's not just suffering these things that have been going on between him and feminine, that it's really in his power in terms of how feminine's going to react to him, in terms of what he does and how he treats her. And that if anything, masculine should take this experience of these past issues with feminine and learn the lessons and be like, I don't need, like, if we're suffering, I'm also kind of at play because she doesn't want to hurt me. Like, feminine doesn't want to hurt me. If she's hurting me, then maybe I've done something that's warranted her acting like this. And if masculine recognizes this, instead of feeling like he's being victimized by feminine, then he realizes that the power is really in his hands in terms of how feminine is going to behave or act around him. And in that way, that's when masculine is really going to realize he does have a lot of power in this, because he and his actions are going to be able to predicate everything that feminine does in response. I love this reading.
Yep.
I'm glowing them down. I'm glowing them down. All
Well,
right.
you had your reversals and I
Mhm.
have mine. All three of my cards are also reversed. And I double checked my deck because I was like, what the hell? So both of them are on the same page. So reversals like that, things are about to shift or turn around. That's like when everything is in one position, it has to turn. Like that's the wheel, right? That has to turn. So definitely a lot of change coming. Likely from the decision making that has to be done, right? Um Divine Feminine, this is the advice. So what this looks like to me is I have to help you shift your thinking. I have to show you what you think now and teach you the opposite. Teach you to tell yourself the opposite. So here's what I'm getting. I have no power. This is a Magician in reverse. To get what I want. This is the Ace of Wands in reverse. Because I don't trust myself. That's the major issues here.
Oof.
So let's fix it. I am powerful. I have infinite power, the infinite power, the infinite potential of my power. How is it that I am this powerful? This is how you have to think of yourself. You are creating the situation that's happening. You are creating it. You are doing it. So you have all the power right now because what is happening is coming from the way you are viewing the situation and reacting to it. So you have all the power. So this has to change. You have to turn this around. You do have power. I can't have what I want. Why? Why can't you have what you want? What is it that's stopping you from having what you want? I'm getting something about having to write it down. I feel like there's that star card in reverse in that initial current energy spot is just making me think like you are reluctant, and the reverie card with the question mark and the 7 of Cups. You really don't know what you want, and that's why it's not really happening. How Okay, it makes so much sense that I was called to read this, to do that reading before this, that was like, if y'all don't want your person to come back, then why are you commenting that you don't want them to come? Why are you watching it? Because that's an indication that you are not clear. Yes, you don't want the shitty ass version of your person to come back. No one does. No one wants that version of that person. That's why it's so confusing, because you need clarity about what you do want. You know a lot about what you don't want. Clarity about what you do want is necessary going forward. You have to write it down. You have to be brave enough, like the masculine is picturing you to be in your Page of Swords energy, to actually write down something and overcome the fear that you won't get it. That's just the only way you're going to change the situation, because right now you're just kind of like loosey goosey about it, and you can't come into alignment with something you don't know how to come into alignment with because you don't know what it is. So if you're like, well, I want this specific person and I feel like I can't get what I want because of this specific person's, free will and stuff. Okay, fine. Then here's how you can address a situation like that. Who do you think you are going to be when this person enters your life? Write that down. When my person comes in and asks me to marry him, who will that version of myself be? What will she dress like? What work will she do? What passions will she have? Write it down, because that's what you're trying to get to. You're not actually trying to get to the external person coming into your life. You're trying to get to the version of self you think you're going to be when the person arrives. And that's where the confusion is. It's really not, you think that person is going to make you your best self. But your best self is the version that attracts the best person for you. So you just need clarity about who that is. It doesn't have to involve anything about another person. You don't have to be like, I want my person to have golden hair and, a 9-inch dick. Like, you don't need to write that down. You need to write down who you want to be when you have a person like that, what you think that person makes you become, because that's the illusion here. That's where you need clarity. Because you have the power to give yourself what you want, but you keep externalizing the delivery system. You're like, oh, I get what I want when this happens. But it's not like that. It's that happens when you are who you want to be. That's when it happens. I can start seeing people say, when will it happen? I'll be, are you who you want to be right now? Okay. Well, how long do you think it's going to take you to be who you want to be? Oh, so you're gonna have to go to school for 10 years. Okay. Well, it's gonna take a little while. That's really, you have to come to terms with the person that I want to be is who I am right now. I want to be this version of myself and with my person. So who is that? Get clarity about that. And if you're way off from who you want to be right now and you don't want to be this version of yourself right now, that's where your biggest issue is. And that comes to the final thing that you need to look into is I don't trust myself to become who I want to be. I don't trust myself to be able to follow my intuition, follow my guidance system. So I am trusting. I have so much trust in myself and in the people who come around me because since I trust myself, the people who come around me also are trustworthy. I am trustworthy, and those that enter into my trustworthy bubble are also trustworthy. This is the way that you need to start thinking about yourself. And the bottom of the deck, not a surprise to me, the 9 of Wands. This is taking me back to that comment that was like saying that I'm not ready, which is this person. I have to go heal my wounds. I've been really traumatized. All these people have done all these things, and I really need to heal everything. And I have to go do that by myself in order to be ready. Saying I'm not ready is abandoning how you feel, what you feel. So you have to acknowledge that there is a victimizing mentality that you are letting keep yourself stuck. The thinking of yourself as unhealed, not ready, or even your person, thinking that your person's emotions, that they are emotionally underdeveloped, that they are not ready to be emotionally available, that those are the things that are being reflected back to you. Powerlessness, not giving yourself what you want, and not trusting in yourself are your biggest issues. Sorry.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize when you start channeling. Go off, Pearl. You never have to apologize for going off. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Are you kidding me? My comment section is popping off. Everyone's like, yes, preach. It was amazing.
Good. I'm
No,
glad everybody needed to hear that.
best advice feminine could get.
Oh, and on that note, a huge storm is happening. Like, we've had crazy rain all day, and this massive, like, I don't know if you can see it. Look at it.
Whoa.
But it sounds like it's gonna hail, which it's supposed to snow next week.
Oh, I wonder if that's going
I'm
to be
sorry.
You're a
Climate
lot,
change.
you're a lot more, you're a bit more north than me, but you can really be here all day. It definitely looks like something is coming. So I'm sure in a few hours it'll hit us as well.
Yeah, you'll probably get it. It'll blow your way. Yeah, I think I'm like 7 hours north of you or so. Pretty far upstate.
Yeah. It's definitely been like, I love the fact that the storm hit just as you finished because that's so perfect.
Yeah, it was like,
wow, what a great reading. I'm very happy about this.
Especially took a minute. This is maybe one of our longest readings.
It is definitely one of our longest readings. But I think it was for a very good reason because again, whatever was happening last week, this is a very nice sea change that we're seeing. And
yes,
I think
absolutely.
I think that there's a lot, like, it's a very powerful reading. I think this is one of our more like powerful moments that we've drawn for masculine and feminine. I'm totally here for that. I'm totally willing to I'm totally willing to like just revel in this energy right now. It's totally good with me. So
it's definitely a post full moon in Aries type of a reading.
it is. It really
like
is.
it's yeah. Like releasing control. Literally, that is full moon in Aries energy. Like releasing control.
And like I feel like this is really good too because I like the fact that we're seeing this happening all before eclipse season hits because once that starts, let's like who even knows? Like I would like feminine and masculine to be in better alignment before eclipse season hits, please. Like don't leave me where we saw last week. So this
Yeah, I just can't with that. Like, I give up.
Well, again, as always, guys, I mean, thank you, Pearl, so much for doing this with me. It's always such a pleasure. Thank you, guys. And thank you, everybody in the audience, for your likes and your shares and your follows. Um, just a reminder to all of you, if you are interested, I offer private readings. You can book a private reading with me on my website, gracedraga.com. I do have a lot of people who are asking, particularly as you were speaking, Pearl, if there'll be a replay of this. You guys can find we'll be able to find a replay of this on my YouTube channel. And Pearl, as well as all the ones that we've done recently as well. And my YouTube channel is the same as here, Grace Draga. Pearl, would you like to let everyone, and you can find me on all the places I am on the net. If you go to my profile, you can find the link to my link tree. Pearl, would you love to tell these lovely people where they can find you and how they can book your services?
Absolutely. You can find me at the link in my profile. pearlsprayers.com is the main page. /members gets you to the basically link tree page, which shows membership opportunities, booking private readings, all of my music, which I'm a pretty formidable musician. Go check it out. I'm on Spotify and everything, Pearl and the Prayers. So make sure you check that out. That's my feminine energy that my masculine energy is constantly withholding from. But anyway, thank you for having me, Gray. Absolutely. If you're on my side, make sure you please go follow her. And I know I haven't been doing lives in the last few days, but I typically am reading live 6 days a week. I just took a few days off. So if you're wondering where I was recuperating from the full moon energy, and also just giving myself a break. I don't do that. It's unheard of. But I will be back now regularly on the daily doing readings. I think I'm just not going to go as hard. So it's probably might be 2 a day. It's probably going to be more like 1 a day. And if you want private readings, make sure you click the link in my profile and know that there is a free consultation available if you're having trouble choosing a service. If you don't know what service to choose or you're worried about pricing, you want to talk to me about it, go ahead and sign up for a free consultation and I'll help you figure it out. So thank you for having me. I love you.
As always, dear, pleasure. And I hope to talk to you soon. I feel like we've got lots of stuff to talk about. So
We
maybe
do. We have to talk about that girl.
we got to talk about all sorts of stuff. So I'll reach out to you after this. Maybe we can find some time to connect. Everybody,
Yes.
thank you guys so much for following us. Thank you so much for watching this with us. And we will talk to you soon. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye.
Bye.